Tip Top English Rock Training's March 2019 Learning Nugget, Knowin' in the Wind, read for you by Alex Williamson. Recently, you may have found yourself doing something unexpected, like snatching a lawn chair out of the air or making sure your chihuahua wasn't blown up into the clouds. This was because, as Storm Eberhard blew its way across Germany, it brought winds that topped the 100-kilometer-an-hour mark in some places and wreaked havoc on highways, public transport, and personal property. So when we considered topics for this month's Learning Nugget, it seemed like learning a little more about wind would be the perfect choice. However, this isn't going to be a boring science lesson. Yes, we fill you in on the basic facts about how wind is created, but we also take a look at the highlights of wind energy's over 5,000-year-old history among humankind, as well as some fun English idioms that deal with wind. What makes wind? Wind is a movement of air from an area of high pressure to an area of low pressure. High pressure is created when a surface is cool. Cold air is heavier, so it stays near the ground, increasing the pressure near the surface of the cold area. As you might expect, warmth creates low pressure because warm air is lighter and rises. Wind occurs because places on Earth don't heat evenly and air is continuously moving from colder to warmer surfaces. Probably the easiest way to understand this is to think about land near the sea or a lake. Land heats faster than water, so by the time it's afternoon on a sunny day, land is a place with very low pressure compared to the cooler water, and air moves quickly from water to land. That's why it's so often windier in the afternoon when you're near water. At night, the land often cools down while the water retains its heat, and the wind changes direction. Air begins rushing from the cooler, higher pressure land to the warmer, lower pressure water. Of course, there are many other factors that determine where wind will be and how strong it is, but underlying it all is the constant migration of air from high pressure to low pressure areas. The history of wind energy. Whether we understood where it came from or not, humans have been using wind energy to accomplish a huge range of tasks for thousands of years. Some of these uses have been briefly summed up by the U.S. Energy Information Administration. People used wind energy to propel boats along the Nile River as early as 5000 BC. By 200 BC, simple wind-powered water pumps were used in China, and windmills with woven reed blades were grinding grain in Persia and the Middle East. And those windmills in Persia, modern-day Iran, and the Middle East would inspire Europeans to build their own. The most famous European example is in the Netherlands, where windmills were used not only for processing grains, but also other goods, like pigments for dyes. Today, wind energy is most closely connected with its ability to create electricity, and is growing in popularity as nations seek renewable, clean energy sources. But even this use of wind has a longer history than you might expect. In 1887, a professor in Scotland by the name of Andrew Blythe built and used one of the first electricity-generating windmills to light his cottage. In the same time period, an important figure in the early days of U.S. electricity named James Brush had a giant windmill built to power his Ohio home. Over time, the design of electricity-generating windmills has been made more efficient, allowing them to power not just individual houses, but become an important energy generator for whole countries. A huge step in this process was Paul Lacour's discovery in the early 20th century that if a turbine had fewer blades, it could spin more quickly and produce more energy than turbines with many blades. In fact, some of the first turbines designed for major power production in Denmark had only 2 blades. Though the design generated a very fast movement of the blades, it was also unstable, causing turbines to wobble and quickly fall into disrepair and be less efficient. Today, 3-bladed turbines are the norm because they are stable but have few enough blades to produce large amounts of energy. However, a company called Vortex Bladeless in Spain is designing a bladeless turbine that is receiving lots of funding and attention. It could be that this invention will soon make the rotating propellers that have become fixtures along highways throughout Europe disappear. Because of their reputation for high use of fossil fuels, it may surprise you that the top producers of wind energy in the world are China and the USA. Less surprisingly, Germany is number 3. Recently, China produced 12.2 gigawatts of power over a year through wind. 1 gigawatt is enough to power roughly 700,000 homes. That means China produced enough energy through wind to supply around 8.5 million homes with electricity, or roughly enough for both the Netherlands and New Zealand combined. Wind idioms. Clearly, wind has been a constant for humanity, so it's no surprise that it's used in many idiomatic expressions in various languages. English is no different, and here are 3 interesting English idioms that mention wind and their meanings. Spit into the wind. When you spit into a strong wind, the spit doesn't go anywhere, or, worse, hits you in the face as it blows back. That's exactly the meaning of this idiom. If you do something pointless, or something that is only going to cause needless difficulties for you, you're spitting into the wind. Example, trying to shovel snow off your driveway during a blizzard is just spitting into the wind. 3 sheets to the wind. For this one, we're back to windmills. Dutch windmills traditionally have 4 blades, and millers would attach sails or sheets to the blades of the windmill to catch wind. The numbers always had to be even, 2 or 4, or the windmill would become unbalanced. If a windmill had only 3 sheets, it would shake and wobble, looking just like a very drunk person. So, someone who has 3 sheets to the wind has had quite a bit to drink and isn't walking in straight lines anymore. Example, on his birthday, Paul drank 3 bottles of wine by himself, and he was 3 sheets to the wind. Knock the wind out of someone's sails. When a ship has wind in its sails, it is moving quickly to its destination, making everyone aboard happy that they'll see land again as soon as possible. On the other hand, when there's no wind and a ship isn't moving, the mood is the exact opposite. So, when you knock the wind out of someone's sails, you're making someone who is feeling great suddenly feel bad. Example, the soccer team thought they had scored a goal and won the game, but the wind was knocked out of their sails when they saw that the referee had called their player offsides. Before we turn into blowhards. We could keep talking about wind for pages and pages, but we're going to stop here for now. And even though we don't want to see winds as destructive as those that came with Eberhard again anytime soon, we hope you've enjoyed learning about how wind is made and some of its functions in human society and the English language. Keep a lookout for next month's Tip Top Learning Nugget to continue expanding your knowledge of the world around you and, most importantly, to have some fun facts to impress your friends and family with.